CSX Railroad. That trestle is crossing over another trestle right in front of us beyond that footbridge, that silver-looking trestle that belongs to the Seaboard Coastline Railroad. Seaboard Coastline Railroad trestle is crossing over another track. That's on the right, on the ground, running by the foot wall. That track belongs to the Norfolk Southern Railroad. Hope y'all kept up with that. There will be a quiz. This is called the Triple Cross. This is the only place in the world where three different railroad systems cross each other at one point. In 1901, Tony Dementi of the Richmond newspaper put a locomotive on each track, took pictures and made postcards and sent around the world the Triple Cross. All three tracks are still in operation today. And and again, the lower track would be Norfolk Southern. That's sitting on the ground. That's running under these two railroad trestles in front of us, making that the Triple Crossing. Another display that we opened up a few seasons ago is right up ahead on the left. I'll tell you what, I'll just point it out to you. It makes it easier that way. It's a display of a small brown box. I am pointing at that box right now if you can't find it, but it's a small dark brown box sitting all by itself at the crest of the hill. Does everybody have that little box? Yeah. Okay. That box is a replica of a box that a slave built. His name was Henry Brown. Henry Brown's family was taken from him, and they took his family to Pennsylvania. So Henry Brown built that box 2 foot by 3 foot. Then with the help of a freed slave and a white store owner, he got inside of it, and they loaded that box onto a train that was bound for Pennsylvania so he could go find his family and escape slavery. A great idea, except for one small problem. He had to spend 27 hours in that little 2 foot by 3 foot box, and he was about as tall as I am. He did it. He made it alive. He did that for the love of his family. And he did it in 1849, which got him the nickname of Henry Box Brown. Oh, and a third of that trip he spent upside down. As we turn this corner, the area we'll be facing will be Chappell Bottom. Chappell Bottom is the oldest part of Richmond, surveyed in 1737 by William Mayo. It's also the lowest part of Richmond. At one time, Chappell Bottom was the city of Richmond. Not only do we have nightclubs and restaurants located at the bottom, but we also have the 17th Street Marketplace, located at 17th and Main, where the farmers come to sell fruits and vegetables. But did you know they started doing that in 1789, over 200 years ago? And a few blocks down on Main Street, around 20th and Main, is the oldest originally built house in Richmond. The old stone house built in 1737 by Jacob Edge. It's now the Edgar Allan Poe Museum. Edgar Allan Poe was raised here in Richmond by the Allan family when his mother died when he was the age of 2. In fact, that's how he got his middle name, Edgar Allan Poe. He used to swim out the James River, upriver, for 6 miles for exercise, like we all do. Now, this is that time where I'll ask everybody to bring their arms and hands inside the boat for only a moment, because I'm taking us through this football opening just in case I miss. Now, we're going to go out to the old Richmond Dock area. As we go through the football, you'll be able to look over to your right on the other side of the wall and see the large sliding door that seals off the lower track of the Triple Cross. As we go through this opening, you can look back behind you and see the drop-down watertight door that seals off this area. Yeah, y'all had nothing to worry about. If I skip this boat, you'll give me another one. This land on our right is called Chappell Island. Chappell Island got its name from an Anglican parish church that was built on the island in 1717 called the Falls of the James Church. Also on this island was a ferry boat system, a fishery, and a shipbuilding company. The shipbuilding company was called the Trigg Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company, and operated from 1899 to 1902. The Trigg built 2 torpedo boats, the Stockton and the Sturbrook. It built 2 destroyers, the Dale and the Decatur, and it built a ferry boat called the Galveston. The President of the United States came down here to Chappell Island, President William McKinley, along with 30,000 residents for the launching of the Sturbrook. These ships were used right after the Spanish-American War. This young man here, what's his name?
Zachary.
Zachary. Oh, 8. 8. Zachary. Come here. Yeah, that's you. Okay, Zachary. Okay. Right here, and you drop.
Oh, look, Zachary. Oh, wow.
Yeah, right into the
That way, Zachary. Zachary's
Yeah,
Zachary, turn it a little bit more, buddy.
A little bit more. You getting there? You getting there? Turn it some more. You're doing good. You're doing good. Almost down now. We're going to turn it this way. Yeah. There you go. You almost got it. Now the bell going straight. That was my fault. Got it? Look at it. See, look where the boat's going. Full ball's going straight. You're doing a great job. How many boats do you have?
You have a boat, Zach?
Yeah, turn it to the right this time. Turn the wheel some more. Yeah, that's right. The other way.
The other way, Zach.
Keep on turning it. Don't listen. You turn it that way. That's right. You're doing it good. Well, you got it. Very good. You did a great job. Get your card back. Good job.
Good job, Zach. Yeah, buddy. You did good. Drove the boat, huh? Like that?
Now, like I said, this is the old Richmond Dock area. Now, this was as far as the big ships could come out of the James River. Now, keep in mind, the ships couldn't go any further because of the falls of the James. The ships were lifted up by the Great Ship Lock, another giant water elevator located up ahead beyond that railroad bridge in front of us. When I say lifted up, we are currently 13 feet above the James River right now. And if y'all remember us turning around the canal locks, I told you there were 5 canal locks. Here's another way of looking at it. This railroad trestle on our left. It needs solid ground and runs on a level track. Since that is a level track, that means the canal boats have to be lifted as high as that railroad trestle, which is 65 feet high, to get to the Great Basin. That's why they had 5 canal locks. This dock area was opened in 1816. Then they had to expand it to about the size it is today in 1854 to accommodate larger ships. The ships that came in here were up to 180 feet long and up to 35 feet wide. If you want to know what 35 feet wide looks like, Zachary was just driving a boat that was 30 feet long. Now, here's where I'm going to bring it all together for you. When the ships came in, they'd unload their cargo and put it onto the canal boats. Then the canal boats would head westward, which is going behind us up through the canals. The canal boats could go as far as Buchanan, Virginia, on the other side of Lynchburg, 197 miles from here, all canals, and over 100 canal locks. Not bad for picks and shovels. Canal boats are normally pulled by mules or horses, walking along the side of the canal, what they call tow paths. So if y'all are ever out on our Virginia highways, and you cross over the James River, look over the side of the bridge. Of course, you'll see the old canal heading westward, but you'll also notice the train track running along the side of the canal. That's because when the railroads first moved in, they used the tow paths that the mules walked on as the bed to their railroad tracks. It was already cleared out for them. Speaking of railroads, that bridge in front of us is of particular interest. That bridge in front of us is called the Bascule Bridge. Now, the Bascule Bridge came from a design by Leonardo da Vinci. The top portion of that bridge, it looks like a large river there, is actually a large weight. It takes a small motor to start tilting that bridge backwards like a rocking chair until the bottom portion sticks straight up in the air and the top portion almost lays flat on the ground. Then the big ships would come on through because the great ship lock and ship lock park are right on the other side of that bridge. If y'all get a chance to go over there to the ship lock park, there's a nice little parking lot over there. You'll be able to check out the great ship lock. You'll also be able to see how high you are up from the James River. And if you're adventurous enough, you can cross over to Chappell Island, walk down one of the wooded paths, and discover the dry docks to the Trade Shipbuilding Company. They're still there, sitting out in the middle of the woods. Now, if y'all will look up and to the left, where that Lucky Strike chimney is sticking way up in the air, if you look to the right of that chimney, well, actually, if you look to the right of the top corner of that building above the railroad trestle, a statue will appear. I know because I've trained that statue to appear at this time. I hope he's not late. Don't worry, the jokes get better. Look at that, he's right on time. That statue is honoring the sailors and Confederate soldiers that fought and died in the war, but that statue also sits on Libby Hill. Libby Hill is where William Byrd II stood, and he was overlooking the river from atop of that hill. And it reminded him so much of his ancestral home, Richmond, England, on the Thames, that he decided to give this area the same name, Richmond.
Lifts up, this thing right here, it lifts up and then the boats go through?
Yeah. Yeah, it sort of rocks backwards like a rocking chair.
Wow.
Trains go through there?
Yeah, this is the lower track of the Triple Cross. This is Norfolk Southern.
Oh, this doesn't seem quite high enough or wide enough, does it? I guess it is.
Oh, if y'all look over to your left, right at the shoreline, you'll see a blue heron standing there.
Oh, look, there he is. Right there.
Oh, yeah.
He lives around here. We call him Hank. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's Hank Heron.
Oh, God. He has a cousin in Pennsylvania. They might fish.
Tobacco was a chief economic income for Richmond for over 200 years. All these buildings that you've been seeing running up and down the street, these are all the old manufacturing plants from all of the tobacco companies. This is called Tobacco Row. They've now been converted into apartments, condominiums, lofts, businesses, and upscale restaurants. As you can see, they built their own version of the flood wall right in front out of that granite stone. They've run that concept all the way down to meet the city's flood wall. Give you all an idea about where we're at. Between those two red brick buildings will be 25th Street. And I don't know if I should do this or not. Yeah, I'm going to try it. I'll try this. What the heck? The area behind Tobacco Row is the area we call Church Hill. Church Hill got its name from the famous church that's located at 25th and Broad, St. John's Church, built in 1741. But in March of